we're good to get rolling. When I start, just as we get started, I thought, man, that was wild. That was so much fun. And what I love about the team is that, we're never out of the fight. And all week we had talked about the ball would decide the game. Chicago had a fantastic track record of taking the ball away and being very successful doing that after they've created, a turnover margin. So for us not to turn the ball over, that was a big deal. And we thought we'd have to knock one out. And the goal line fumble turned out to be the second biggest play of the game. But to get into the plus, that was a big one until the last play. And what I learned tonight, I don't know if I learned it tonight, but I wanted to acknowledge in that locker room is a group of really tough people that genuinely care about one another and play and coach for one another. And that's a hard thing to assemble. And it's not easy, and it takes work, and you got to go through tough nights like tonight, which at times was very frustrating. And but to see this group stick together and know that, man, we're never out of it, and that's a really big deal. So I wanted to acknowledge that as we get started. So now I'm ready for your questions.
Dan, a bunch of players said you guys practiced the Hail Mary. How close was that to perfection of that play, and kind of how much time do you guys put into practicing that?
Yeah, I thought the plays also leading up to it were a really big deal, because when you're in that spot, you don't have timeouts, and we used one early, obviously, to get out of bounds, to give yourself a chance at the next play. And I thought the real factor was there of Zach Ertz, going up to get a tip, to keep the ball alive for Noah to get there, because it's hard just to go up and snatch it. So you almost have to go up and expect a bounce or a tip to go. And I thought Jaden did a fantastic job of, buying time over to the right side. To left side. I don't know how long the play was. Maybe you guys might, but it took a long-ass time. 13 seconds, yeah. I felt every bit of them.
So with that being said, Dan, I know in previous press conferences you've mentioned with Jaden out there, you'll still have a chance. So in that last play, were you thinking there was still a chance, or were you just kind of like, what, whatever happens, happens?
I thought we'd had a chance to get, if we could get up the field some. And so that's what I was trying to get to. Could we get into field goal range if we could get a big chunk and get a timeout and then get a must out of bounds? So that's what I was hoping that we would accomplish into that spot. And then when it turns into Hail Mary time, literally what it's named after.
And my second question is, great, team win, but it did take the offense a bit to get going. I know it's just right after the game. You haven't had an opportunity to look at the film, but just some initial thoughts on what you think went there to get them not going.
Yeah, it was a frustrating game because there was plays to be made, and so a penalty might have knocked us out, or maybe a drop here and there. So I thought the execution felt off from what we're accustomed to. But I would say also some of that we have to give credit to Chicago's defense. They're a tough and rugged group as well. And at the end, those are things that we'll clean up to fix, but it wasn't what we'd hoped we would do. Like yards can be sometimes deceiving. I thought we missed some opportunities out there tonight, and that's when frustration can set in. I just wanted to make sure on the sideline, it's the next one, the next series to go, that can make the difference.
Coach, have you been in part of a game like this before?
That was my first Hail Mary touchdown score, so no. I've been on plenty where we threw them, but that was my first connection with them. So, I was out of my mind. It was fun.
And then final thing is, just to get a win like this, obviously it shows that you can win at any time. What does this do, though? I mean, that was a good football team that you guys beat tonight. So what does this do for this team going forward as far as confidence?
Well, I think, number one, going into it, we just really think in smaller terms of what we can do. And I wanted to see, could we find a next gear? And we missed on some tonight, but I thought defensively, third down was a really big step in the right direction tonight. They've got some fantastic players, as part of their offense. And so to have a winning performance on third down, which has been a problem that we've worked through, that was a really big deal for the defense. So those are some things we learned. But at the end of it, it takes everybody. It's a punt by Tress to put him down. It's Jeremy McNichol recovering a fumble on the punt. And those are all these moments that add up to giving yourself a chance to go win it.
And at the end of the first half, you had an opportunity potentially for a Hail Mary. You guys decided to just hand the ball off and go into the half. Can you talk us through why you chose to do that? And then obviously at the end of the game, you don't have a choice and make a different decision.
Yeah, I thought Probably in my mind, I just didn't want to get contact, and a big hit that could happen from that space. So I wanted to give us a chance in a 2-minute at the end of the half. It's something that offensively we've been good at. And so we've had a few opportunities like that over the last 3 weeks. So I thought, let's give us a chance. But I didn't want to over-try into that moment. But maybe now I should reconsider.
And then obviously defensively, they got going a little bit in the fourth quarter. What changed there? Was it a matter of them just hitting some?
I thought the big play by Swift, was an excellent run. Obviously, a big long play, that explosive play that goes for a score. Those are the things that you have to, fight your way through and come back for it. A lot of respect for their receivers, and certainly, Keenan and DJ, coached against a lot, and I know how talented they are. So. Those are real weapons that they have, and that's a good team. So, we had to fight our way through it, and I was pleased to see what happened on third down.
Coach, do you recall who you first saw or grabbed after you saw it was a catch?
No, I felt, rest in peace, a little like Jim Valvano, just running around, not sure what to do and where to go. So I don't know who. A lot of the big guys beat the hell out of me, so it's a wonder why they play in the NFL, and I never did. Yelling at me and hugging, and, I feel like I'm, 6 inches off the ground with a big hug. So it was, honestly, it was just a wild moment.
Through 8 weeks, what have you learned about Jaden?
It's a long answer, but I would say there's a lot of resilience in this guy that has always been in there, and it's I've always known he was a real competitor at his core, and I don't know if that was revealed any differently. It was his first injury that we had to go through together this week to find out what would be possible and what wouldn't be, because he also has unique skills and gifts that he'd have to be able to get outside the pocket and run some when he can. And I wanted to see him demonstrate that. And so earlier in the week to allow him to play, because if he wasn't able to do that, then he wouldn't have been able to play. We would not have put him into that spot.
What does it do for the locker room when they see their quarterback, a rookie quarterback, gutted out like that?
I think he's already earned lots of love and respect and trust. They see how much he puts it in. So every week there's guys that we don't talk about on the stat sheet that are playing through things and that, and he was another example of that. But, I don't think any of us will ever forget, the finish of tonight. It was really cool. Dave?
John Thompson used to always say he loved wins when his team played bad, because then he could yell at them the whole week. And
Yes.
they'd have to take it. I just wonder what the teaching points going forward are this week as you see them I know you haven't looked at the film yet.
Yeah, I thought, number one, just the fouls, to make sure we have the poise to execute into those spots. I think a screen that, man down the field on a touchdown, like those are ones that are completely correctable. I get it, Dave. If there's a foul and you're fighting for it, there might be a holding, but those are ones that we can control. And so that's the lessons I want us to make sure we are able to control that. So that part I think we can do, our best to fix.
On the throw, the fact that Allegretti's still digging back to get a block to give Jaden some time. I mean, I know it's the scramble and everybody's trying, but is there something to be said for guys that have played 60 minutes still throwing their bodies around out there to give him a chance to get the ball downfield?
Yeah, I think those are the guys that don't show up on the stat sheet but know that they are in for the fight, and part of why Allegretti was a captain tonight, because he's demonstrated that to the team about his willingness to be a warrior, play through an ankle that was bad and tough. And so for him, I think that just kind of demonstrates who he is. And that's an identity, I think, that you have to build because you show it over and over and over again. And so we're still in the early days of our identity, but I do love the toughness that comes with that. All right. Thanks, guys.
So can we just real quick, Dan, in the chaos of the end, we almost forget that Jaden, we didn't know he was going to play when we walked in the stadium today. What was it, the decision-making process to actually get him on the field, and then when did you know for sure he was going?
Well, I think I said early in the week it was a crawl, walk, run. Wednesday, it's not that uncommon for a guy who has an injury on Sunday to hold Wednesday, more treatment. Can they do a walk through Thursday? We pushed him on Friday in terms of the different throws, the way to go, and then how do you respond on Saturday, okay? And how do you respond on Sunday from that? And so once all the markers were hit, then we felt comfortable with him playing. But it was due to all the work that was put in Friday to say, okay, I didn't tell him that until Saturday. We'll give you the ball after he went through that, and then warmed up today to make sure there wasn't any setbacks. Because if there had been, then Marcus was prepared to take the lead and take the ball. So we just wanted to take it all the way through the process. I think when you have a big decision, you take all the time that you need to make it. All right, thanks, guys.